let us talk about crop production and propagation. Crop production is the core of agriculture. Without crops, there would be no food, no feed for animals, and no raw materials for many industries. Understanding how to produce and propagate crops is essential for your exams. This is topic 5. We are discussing crop production and propagation. By the end of this lesson, you will understand the classification of crops, methods of crop propagation, factors affecting crop production practices, and how to answer exam questions. Take your notes. Let us go. First, what is crop production? Crop production is the branch of agriculture that deals with the cultivation of plants for food, feed, fiber, and other products. Crop production involves selecting land, preparing the soil, planting, caring for the growing crops, harvesting, and storing the produce. Each step must be done correctly to get a good yield. Now, let me explain the classification of crops. Crops can be classified in several ways. By their life cycle, crops are classified into annuals, biennials, and perennials. Annuals complete their life cycle in 1 year. They grow, flower, produce seeds, and die within 1 season. Examples include maize, rice, wheat, and groundnuts. Biennials complete their life cycle in 2 years. They grow leaves in the first year and flower and produce seeds in the second year. Examples include carrots, cabbages, and onions. Perennials live for more than 2 years. They can produce crops for many years. Examples include cocoa, coffee, oil palm, and rubber. By their use, crops are classified into cereals, legumes, roots and tubers, vegetables, fruits, oil crops, fiber crops, and beverage crops. Cereals are grasses grown for their grains. They include maize, rice, sorghum, and millet. They are rich in carbohydrates. Legumes are plants that have nitrogen-fixing bacteria in their roots. They include beans, cowpeas, groundnuts, and soybeans. They are rich in protein. Roots and tubers are plants that store food in underground parts. They include cassava, yam, sweet potato, and Irish potato. They are rich in carbohydrates. Vegetables are plants grown for their leaves, stems, roots, or fruits eaten as part of a meal. They include tomatoes, peppers, okra, spinach, and cabbage. Fruits are the sweet, fleshy products of plants. They include oranges, mangoes, bananas, and pineapples. Oil crops are grown for the oil in their seeds or fruits. They include palm oil, groundnuts, and soybeans. Fiber crops are grown for the fibers in their stems or leaves. They include cotton, jute, and sisal. Beverage crops are grown for their stimulating properties. They include cocoa, coffee, and tea. By their botany, crops are classified into monocots and dicots. Monocots have 1 seed leaf. They include maize, rice, and wheat. Dicots have 2 seed leaves. They include beans, groundnuts, and tomatoes. By their photosynthetic pathway, crops are classified into C3 plants and C4 plants. C3 plants include wheat, rice, and soybeans. C4 plants include maize, sorghum, and sugarcane. C4 plants are more efficient in hot, dry conditions. Now, let me explain crop propagation. Crop propagation is the process of producing new plants. There are 2 main types. Sexual propagation uses seeds. Seeds are produced by flowers. When a seed is planted, it germinates and grows into a new plant. Sexual propagation is the most common method. It is used for most field crops. The advantages of sexual propagation are that seeds are easy to store and transport. They produce plants that are strong and healthy. They allow for genetic variation. The disadvantages are that some seeds take a long time to germinate. Some seeds have low germination rates. Plants from seeds may not be identical to the parent plant. Asexual propagation, also called vegetative propagation, uses parts of the parent plant to grow new plants. No seeds are involved. The new plants are genetically identical to the parent. This is called cloning. There are several methods of asexual propagation. Cuttings are pieces of stem, leaf, or root that are planted to grow new plants. Examples include cassava, sugarcane, and sweet potato. Layering is bending a branch to the ground and covering it with soil. The branch forms roots and can be cut from the parent. Examples include cocoa and coffee. Grafting is joining a cutting from one plant onto the rootstock of another. The cutting is called the scion. The rootstock provides the roots. Examples include citrus and mango. Budding is similar to grafting, but uses a single bud. Suckers are shoots that grow from the base of the plant. They can be removed and planted. Examples include banana and plantain. Runners are stems that grow along the ground and form new plants at their tips. Examples include strawberry. Bulbs and corms are underground storage organs that can be planted. Examples include onion and garlic. The advantages of asexual propagation are that the new plants are identical to the parent. They mature faster than plants from seeds. They retain desirable characteristics. The disadvantages are that there is no genetic variation. If the parent had a disease, all the offspring will have it. Asexual propagation is also more labor-intensive than using seeds. Now let me explain the factors affecting crop production. These are the things that determine how well crops grow. The first factor is climate. Rainfall, temperature, sunlight, wind, and humidity all affect crops. Most crops need between 500 and 1,500 millimeters of rainfall per year. Some crops like rice need more. Others like millet need less. Temperature affects germination, growth, and flowering. Different crops have different temperature requirements. Sunlight is needed for photosynthesis. Shaded crops do not grow well. Wind can damage tall crops like maize. It can also cause soil erosion. Humidity affects the spread of diseases. The second factor is soil. Soil type, soil fertility, soil pH, and soil depth affect crop production. Sandy soils drain quickly but are not fertile. Clay soils are fertile but drain poorly. Loam soils are best. Soil fertility depends on the availability of nutrients. The most important nutrients are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Soil pH affects the availability of nutrients. Most crops grow best in neutral soil with a pH between 6.5 and 7. Soil depth affects how deep roots can grow. Shallow soils cannot support large plants. The third factor is biotic factors. Pests, diseases, and weeds reduce crop yields. Insects can eat leaves, stems, roots, or fruits. Birds can eat seeds and fruits. Rodents can eat stored grains. Diseases are caused by fungi, bacteria, and viruses. They can kill plants or reduce their growth. Weeds compete with crops for water, nutrients, and light. The fourth factor is human factors. Land preparation, planting methods, fertilizer use, pest control, weeding, irrigation, and harvesting all affect yields. A farmer who does these things well will get higher yields. Now let me explain crop production practices. These are the activities farmers do to grow crops. The first practice is land preparation. Land preparation involves clearing the land, ploughing, harrowing, and ridging. Clearing removes weeds, trees, and rocks. Ploughing turns over the soil. Harrowing breaks up clods and levels the soil. Ridging creates mounds or ridges for planting. The second practice is planting. Planting involves selecting good seeds, treating seeds to prevent diseases, and placing them in the soil at the correct depth and spacing. The third practice is fertilizer application. Fertilizers add nutrients to the soil. They can be organic like manure or inorganic like NPK. The fourth practice is weed control. Weeds are controlled by hand, weeding, hoeing, or using herbicides. Weeds compete with crops and must be removed. The fifth practice is pest and disease control. Pests and diseases are controlled by using resistant varieties, crop rotation, biological control, and chemical pesticides. The sixth practice is irrigation. Irrigation is the application of water to crops when rainfall is not enough. Methods include sprinklers, drip irrigation, and furrow irrigation. The seventh practice is harvesting. Harvesting is gathering the mature crop. It must be done at the right time to get the best quality. The eighth practice is storage. Stored crops must be protected from moisture, pests, and diseases. Good storage reduces losses. A common exam question asks you to classify crops by their life cycle. Here is a sample answer. Annuals complete their life cycle in 1 year. Examples include maize, rice, and groundnuts. Biennials complete their life cycle in 2 years. Examples include carrots, cabbages, and onions. Perennials live for more than 2 years. Examples include cocoa, coffee, and oil palm. Each type requires different management practices. Another exam question asks you to distinguish between sexual and asexual propagation. Here is your answer. Sexual propagation uses seeds. It produces genetic variation. Asexual propagation uses vegetative parts like cuttings, suckers, or grafts. It produces plants identical to the parent. Sexual propagation is easier and cheaper for many crops. Asexual propagation is used when seeds do not produce true-to-type plants or when the plant does not produce seeds. Another exam question asks you to list the factors affecting crop production. Here is your answer. The factors are climate, which includes rainfall, temperature, sunlight, wind, and humidity. Soil, which includes type, fertility, pH, and depth. Biotic factors, which include pests, diseases, and weeds. Human factors, which include land preparation, planting, fertilizer, pest control, and harvesting. Farmers must manage all these factors to get good yields. Here is what you need to take away. Crop production is the cultivation of plants. Crops are classified by life cycle, use, botany, and photosynthetic pathway. Annuals live 1 year, biennials 2 years, perennials many years. Cereals, legumes, roots, vegetables, fruits, oil crops, fiber crops, and beverage crops are classified by use. Sexual propagation uses seeds. Asexual propagation uses vegetative parts. Factors affecting crop production include climate, soil, biotic factors, and human factors. Crop production practices include land preparation, planting, fertilizer, weed control, pest control, irrigation, harvesting, and storage. Practice these concepts. When you have them down, move to topic 6.